I want you to close your eyes for a second, unless you're driving, please don't, and picture the office. For what, 50 years, that mental image was pretty static. It was a cubicle,
The cubicle,
a
yeah.
suspended ceiling, that really bad carpet, and a coffee machine that probably hadn't been cleaned since the Reagan administration. It was a place you had to go.
It was a container. That was the industrial logic. You buy a building, you put the people inside the container, and, work happens.
Right. But we're seeing this shift now that, well, it suggests that container model is dead. The office isn't a place anymore, it's a service.
Like a subscription.
Exactly, like Netflix for your desk. And what's really interesting is that this isn't just happening in, Silicon Valley or Shoreditch. We are seeing a global transformation.
And that's the core of the report we're looking at today. It's called New Serviced Offices Launch Across Globe, Boosting Business Flexibility. And the key word there really is globe. We're not just talking about the usual financial hubs. We're seeing a complete restructuring of commercial real estate from rural Ireland all the way to the Caribbean.
So before we get our passports stamped, let's just look at the high-level trend. The report mentions a wave of new openings focused on enhanced flexibility. Now, I'll play the skeptic here. Landlords have been renting out offices for centuries. What makes this specific wave different from just, renting a room?
The difference, I think, lies in the layer that sits between the landlord and the tenant. Traditionally, you'd sign a 10-year lease, you'd have to buy all the furniture, set up the Wi-Fi, hire a cleaner.
A massive capital expenditure?
Huge capex all up front. This trend we're seeing now shifts all of that over to an operator. The source material highlights that these new spaces are catering not just to freelancers, but to SMEs and even large corporations who want to remove the operational burden.
Operational burden. That's such a sterile term for a really messy reality.
It is, isn't it? But think about it. If you're a CEO, do you really want to spend your Tuesday negotiating a contract for
Printer toner.
printer toner?
Yeah.
Exactly. Or figuring out why the heating is broken?
I definitely do not.
Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
So these serviced offices, they package everything, reception, kitchens, IT, utilities, into one single monthly fee. But the critical shift the report identifies is the who. 5 years ago, we thought of serviced offices as like co-working spaces for guys in beanies coding the next big app.
Right, that whole digital nomad stereotype.
But the source makes it really clear that this is graduated. We're seeing scale-ups, companies that are growing super fast, and established enterprises moving into these spaces.
So they're trading control for agility.
That's a perfect way to put it.
It makes sense. If the economy goes sideways, you'd much rather have a 6-month contract than a 10-year anchor around your company's neck.
That's the financial logic, absolutely.
Okay, so let's see how this logic actually plays out on the ground. We're going to start our tour in the UK, but interestingly, not in London. We're going to the Midlands. Tamworth. Now, I'll be honest, when I think of the bleeding edge of workplace innovation, Tamworth is not the first dot on the map that comes to mind, but the report highlights this project there, the Elizabeth Bradford Business Center.
Yeah, and this is a fascinating case study because it really challenges the whole aesthetic of the modern office.
Yeah, so?
Usually, modern means glass and steel, right? But here, they've taken a 19th century building and retrofitted it.
So it's a restoration project.
It is. They've built 14 serviced offices and some meeting rooms, all inside this historic shell. But I want to draw your attention to the motivation here. The source specifically notes this is part of a town regeneration plan.
That's a really interesting angle. I mean, usually when we talk about regenerating a town center, we're talking about retail, opening a new shopping mall or some cafes. Why put offices there?
Because retail is struggling. Let's be honest, the high street model is broken in a lot of places. By putting a business center in a historic building, you're bringing professional foot traffic back into the town center during the day.
Ah, people who will buy lunch, who will shop after work.
Exactly. The office workers become a kind of life support for the local economy.
That's smart.
And from the tenant's point of view, there's this atmosphere economy working in a restored 19th century building with character. It just feels different than a sterile business park on the edge of town.
It helps with recruitment, with branding.
It creates a narrative for the business. We aren't just some generic company. We have roots.
Even if those roots are technically rented by the month.
Well, yes. Fair point.
Okay, let's stick with the UK, but hop across the Irish Sea. We're going to County Fermanagh in Northern Ireland, specifically Enniskillen.
This one is significant because of the first mover aspect. The report notes this is the first serviced office facility in the entire county.
The first. So that implies that until now, if you wanted a professional office in Fermanagh, you had to. Or build it yourself.
Or rent a traditional commercial unit, sign a really long lease and furnish it all from scratch. Or work from your kitchen table. This facility is managed by Regus, which is a huge global operator, and they've taken over a former insurance company building.
Regus is a big name. For them to move into a rural county like that, it suggests they see a market that everyone else has missed.
It really does. And look at the rental terms mentioned in the source material. It says daily to yearly.
Daily.
Yes, daily. That right there is the key differentiator for a rural location.
Okay, walk me through the use case for a daily office. Who is that for?
So imagine you're a sales director based in, say, Dublin or London. You have clients in Enniskillen. In the old world, you'd meet them in a hotel lobby or some noisy coffee shop. It's not professional. There's zero privacy.
Correct.
Now, you can book a fully equipped office for just 8 hours. You get a receptionist to greet your client. You have secure Wi-Fi. You look established, even if you're just visiting for the day.
It levels the playing field. You don't need a permanent satellite office to have a permanent-looking presence.
Precisely. And for the local business, maybe a small accountant or a consultant, they can escape the isolation of working from home without having to commit to a huge yearly overhead.
Yeah.
It democratizes access to big city infrastructure.
I like that phrase, democratizing infrastructure. It means location matters less than access. Okay, moving south now, we go to Weston-super-Mare. We're looking at a place called Jigsaw Workspace.
This is a 3-story facility, but I want you to look closely at the capacity numbers the report cites.
Okay, it says here private offices for 4 to 24 desks.
That range 4 to 24 is very telling.
Why? It just sounds like a standard size range.
Well, a solopreneur needs 1 desk. A freelancer needs 1 desk. When you start offering offices with 24 desks, you're not hunting for freelancers, you are hunting for scale-ups.
Ah, okay, so this is for a company that already has maybe 20 employees and is growing fast.
Correct. And think about the location. Weston-super-Mare is a coastal town. The source mentions it's near major transport links, and this is key. It includes on-site parking.
The parking seems like such a mundane detail, but if you have 24 people trying to get to work every day, it's actually a deal breaker.
It's logistical reality. But there's a deeper trend here called the hub-and-spoke model. A company might have its fancy HQ in London, that's the hub, but its employees can't afford to live in London, or maybe they just hate the commute. So the company rents a spoke office in Weston-super-Mare.
So the team lives locally, works locally, but is still connected to the main corporate vein.
Exactly. And the report highlights that Jigsaw is focused on supporting local employment and fostering a business community. It's about keeping talent in the region rather than forcing it to drain away to the big city.
You know, it's interesting that this community aspect keeps coming up. I always thought that was just marketing fluff. Join our community. But you're saying there's a real economic utility to it.
Isolation is dangerous for a business. It really is. You need collision. You need to bump into someone at the coffee machine who does something completely different from you. That kind of cross-pollination is what drives innovation. If you just sit in your spare bedroom for 5 years, your worldview just shrinks. These spaces are engineered to prevent that.
Okay, let's expand our worldview. We are leaving Europe. We're going to the Caribbean. Kingston, Jamaica.
This is a really major development. We're looking at a place called the Business District. And again, the source emphasizes a huge milestone here. This is the island's first serviced office complex.
Another first. It really feels like we're seeing a pattern of these facilities opening up in markets that were, previously underserved.
We are. It's a leapfrog effect. You see it in tech all the time. Developing economies often skip over the intermediate stages of infrastructure.
Like going straight to mobile phones instead of landlines.
Exactly that. Here, they might be skipping the whole era of every company builds its own office block and going straight to office as a service.
The source mentions they offer furniture, business support, and virtual office packages. Can we just stop on virtual office for a moment? Because to the uninitiated, that sounds a bit, fake.
It sounds ephemeral, I know, but it is incredibly powerful for perception. A virtual office gives you a premium business address in the heart of Kingston. It gives you mail handling. It often gives you a receptionist who answers the phone in your company's name.
So I could be a one-person startup working from my garage in another country, but to my clients, I'm located at the Business District, Kingston.
That's it. It buys you legitimacy. Trust is a currency in business. If your address is a P.O. box, people might hesitate. If you have a Trime corporate address, that barrier to trust is just so much lower.
And the report here mentions business agility and cost effectiveness.
And think about international trade. If a U.S. or U.K. company wants to test the Jamaican market, they do not want to navigate local real estate laws, hire a maintenance crew, and sign a 5-year lease. That is way too much friction. With this model, they can land, sign a monthly agreement, and be fully operational in 24 hours.
It just lowers the barrier to entry for foreign investment.
Drastically. It allows capital to flow so much more freely because the physical logistics aren't blocking the door.
All right, final stop on our world tour. We're heading back to Europe, but to the east this time. Bucharest, Romania.
Bucharest is a different beast entirely in this report.
It feels different, even just reading the description. The language changes. We've had restoration and community, but here the source uses words like high-tech and premium.
We're looking at a partnership between Beta House and GTC Group. Beta House is a really well-known brand in the European startup scene, and they're targeting a very specific demographic here: scale-ups and enterprises.
There's that word, scale up again.
It is the sweet spot. A startup is still searching for a business model. A scale-up has found it and is now pouring gasoline on the fire. They need, as the report puts it, advanced office standards and IT infrastructure.
What does that actually mean in practice? Advanced IT, is that just like fast Wi-Fi?
It's so much more than speed. It's redundancy. It's security. If you're a fintech scale-up in Bucharest handling sensitive banking data, you cannot work out of a coffee shop. You need server rooms with proper cooling. You need secure keycard access. You need fail-safes.
Okay.
This facility provides that enterprise-grade skeleton so the company doesn't have to build it itself.
That sounds expensive. Why pay a premium for this instead of just renting a cheaper floor in an older building?
Because of the other factor the expert analysis points to: fostering connections through regular events.
Networking.
But strategic networking. Beta House isn't just a landlord, they're a curator. They hold pitch nights, developer meetups, investor breakfasts. If you are a tech company, being in that building increases your surface area for luck.
Huh. Surface area for luck. I like that.
You might meet your next CTO or your next angel investor in the hallway.
So you're not just paying for the desk, you're paying for the ecosystem.
You are paying for proximity to opportunity. In a high-tech sector, being isolated is a death sentence. Being in the hub is worth the premium.
So we've done the tour. Tamworth, Enniskillen, Weston-super-Mare, Kingston, Bucharest. It's a pretty diverse list. But when you step back and look at the report as a whole, what's the synthesis? What's the thread that ties a 19th century restoration in the UK to a tech hub in Romania?
The thread is the decoupling of work from real estate ownership.
Unpack that a little bit for me.
For 100 years, if you wanted to do business, you had to be in the real estate game. You had to be a property manager on the side. Now, businesses are saying no. They are outsourcing the physical world so they can focus on the digital world or the commercial world.
It's specialization.
It is, and it's about volatility. The world is so unpredictable. We have pandemics, recessions, boom cycles. A 20-year lease assumes the world is going to be the same in 20 years.
Which it won't be.
A monthly license admits that we have no idea what next year looks like, let alone next decade.
So the serviced office is essentially an insurance policy against the future.
That is a great way to put it. You pay a premium for the ability to walk away or to double in size without any penalty.
And what's fascinating to me is how the serviced office isn't just one thing. It's a chameleon. In Tamworth, it looks like a history lesson. In Bucharest, it looks like a sci-fi movie. But the function, that flexibility, is identical.
The wrapper changes to fit the local culture and the local economy, but the product inside agility is the universal need.
So for you listening, maybe you're sitting in a cubicle right now, or maybe at your kitchen table. Why should you care about this global trend?
You should care because it changes the definition of where you can exist as a business. If the barrier to having a professional, secure, impressive office has dropped from millions in capital to just a monthly fee, that opens the door for so many more people.
You can start that consultancy in Enniskillen.
You can expand your team to Jamaica. The geography is no longer the limit.
The map has opened up.
The map is now a menu. You just choose what you need when you need it.
Which leads us to the end, and I know you always have a final thought to leave us with, a little provocation.
I do. So we've spent this whole deep dive talking about how the office is becoming this fluid service. You can switch it on daily or yearly. We've seen teams distributed across these spokes like Weston-super-Mare. So here's the question. If the office is no longer a fixed asset and your team is scattered across all these various service hubs, how do we define a headquarters in, say, 2026?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Is it HQ just the building with your logo on the roof anymore?
Or is the HQ just a server somewhere?
Hmm.
Or is it wherever the CEO happens to be sitting that day?
If the office is a service, maybe the HQ is just a state of mind.
Or maybe, just maybe, the concept of a headquarters is becoming obsolete. Maybe we're moving toward a decentralized organism where the center doesn't even exist.
That is a terrifying and exciting thought to end on. The decentralized organism. I love it.
That's where we're heading.
Well, thank you for guiding us across the globe today. It's been a deeper dive than I ever expected into the world of desks and Wi-Fi.
It's never just about the desks. It's about how we choose to live and work.
That's true enough. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye.